All right, all right, all right. Excited to have my buddy Austin Linney on today. Get Better Everyday podcast with Matt Gouget. Let's just get started with a 1 minute of who is Austin Linney.
Man, I was just trying to think when we first got connected. It's been a while. You know, what I typically tell people is, divorced, laid off, alcoholic, meth addict, and homeless. That's how I typically introduce myself. So, a lot of rock bottoms there. But what I've been introducing myself lately as is a business owner, an inspirer of people. And it wasn't until one of my business partners mentioned it, and he said, "Hey, you're not selling that story anymore. You tell it, but it's not. I could tell it's not of you." And so, when you get enough distance from those things, and you believe in yourself. I just got off the call with my dad. It's been a trying 2 weeks, just with some clients and all sorts of stuff, just typical real estate stuff. Deals have fallen through, and he said to me, he's like, you don't care. He's like, you were down so far that all of this is like, hell yeah. Like, it's
Right.
that you don't care. And so what I've been telling myself every day, and I think everybody should tell themselves, is I get to choose my heart. And there's a lot of days where I really wish I could just go be a sales guy for you. Like, that would be really great. I'd be really good, probably the best in the country, and I wouldn't have to worry about all this stuff. But to give you a little update on me, we have 12 companies. We're in talks to do a real estate fund. I have a six-figure coaching business. We have a six-figure consulting business. We have equity positions in multiple large companies. And so over the last 130 days, we've launched 7 companies and been in contract on, 27 million in real estate. And, there's a lot of stuff. So it's been this bad partner, bad partner, bad partner, bam, find the right partner, literally meet each other, read our 10-year visions, and I literally could have took his 10-year vision out and put my name in it, and it was the exact same one, and we were like, I'm home
off to
and
off to the races.
off to the races, right? And so when you abuse alcohol for 20 plus years, but more importantly, when you abuse yourself, I think that I've coached enough people, I've studied enough about addiction to understand that the seed of addiction is really very simple. It's a lack of love, and it's a cry for help, right? And somebody asked me the other day, they said, when you got sober, like, it was kind of like you were done and you were off. Like, it's like boom, done. Like, you drank every day for 8 years, and then boom, you're like out here. And they said, why is that? And I said, because I always knew that I was born for something greater than that. And so when I finally caught up with that, my own belief in myself, I was done. I was like, this is, I look at you, right? When you finally made the decision that I was going to be a mortgage guy, you said, I'm going to be the best mortgage guy. And you've done nothing but continue to scale up from there when you made that decision to bet on yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I applaud you, man. I'm happy for you. I love you. I love the fact that you're clear, sober, clear eyes, full heart, can't lose is something that my wife has shared with me. And that's how I feel, digging myself out of my own struggles. What if you can point to anything was the turning point? What was the Austin Linney down on my luck, I'm stuck in a rut, I'm abusing alcohol and drugs to like light on. I've meant for more. Let's go.
I don't think enough people put environment into play. Like, you have to understand, like I sold wine for a living. Like, I made cocktails for a living. I came up with drink menus. And so when you're in that world, it's just part of who you are. It's what you grew up with. I started when I was 17, now 35, still doing the same things. And when I started joining a mastermind, when I started getting around real estate guys, business owners, I know it sounds ridiculous, but the first business I ever had, the first real business I ever had, failed. I lost 30 grand. But both of those guys were 9 months and 13 months sober. And it was the first time in my life that I saw two humans that were successful and sober. I know that sounds ridiculous to say, but it's the truth. And they said, look, if you've ever been thinking about it, just give it a shot. What could it hurt? And so I made it 28 days. Didn't stick. I drank. I got so mad at myself. I said, give me 30 days. Let me refresh. Let me reset. Let me try it again. And so when I tried it again that last time, it's been, almost 5 years, 4.5. And I was so ready to be done. Like I was so, and let's be honest, my steps to this, leaving a W-2 before I was ready, before the business proved, leaving the W-2 while I'm getting sober in a terrible marriage, and then 2 months into leaving the W-2, deciding that business was going to fail, lost 30 grand. Like, so it was not, and then like fast forward a year later, I'm working private equity. COVID happens. I get laid off from my private equity job and separated from a 13-year marriage in the same week, and started a podcast. Like, and so it was like really like the birth of me was like the podcast. And so I had no job. I was living on unemployment. I was separated. I had 7 boxes to my name. I gave up my house. I gave up everything. I traveled around and rediscovered myself. And what I didn't know is I said, what do you have right now? Like, what is the thing that you have? I said, I have this podcast. I love talking to people. So when I say that literally I was doing 9 episodes a day, I was
Wow.
talking to billionaires, millionaires, real estate people. And I think I did like 250 episodes in the first year.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
and so you start talking to people, you're listening to them, you're learning, and then I started finding myself, and then that turned into my coaching business, and then like the one client turned into 2 clients, turned into 3 clients, turned into whatever, right? But that wasn't it. Like I was literally surviving for a year, like great months, bad months, great months, bad months. And I'll tell you exactly what happened. I'll tell you exactly what happened. I know the date. I know exactly what happened. My biggest client at the time, who was 60% of what I was making, I was transitioning into more of a business consultant role. So I was getting bigger clients. She had paid me and she was really flaky. And she disappeared for like 2 weeks and then came back, still owed me money. We like coached for 2 weeks. And then I said, you know what? It was Sunday. I said, she's going to text me tomorrow and say that she's out. I just had this feeling. She texts me an hour later and says, I can't do this anymore. Don't charge me. I'm out. She still owed me money. I'm like, well, I can't fight her on this. So like I was at the lowest ever. Like I was making a little bit of money, but it wasn't crazy. Right. And I had a mentor tell me like, look, you got enough friends. You put enough goodwill in the world, make offers. Like either figure it out or like go do a W-2, but just do something. So I'm walking around that day and I'm thinking to myself, like, what would it look like if I was actually all in on myself? What would that look like? Like and I said, what if I'm sitting at my desk like this, there's a whiteboard right here. I said, what if you write some asinine number? Like a number that just scares the fucking shit out of you and you just figure it out. Like, what would that look like? And so this number hits me right there. And it's double what I've ever made in a year. And we have, so this is May 28th. I said, what if you go all in on yourself and you somehow figure out a way to do that in 6 months? Would your entire life change? Fuck yeah, it would. So I write it, highlight it. I'm staring at it for like 3 days and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to figure it out. That day I start making offers. I can coach this thing. I can coach this thing. Like 3 people sign up. It's not a lot, but here's 5 grand. Boom, boom, boom. My business partner on a property we have, I calls out of the blue and goes, hey, what do you think about selling the rental property? By the way, he told me he would never, ever sell. He's like, what do you think about selling the rental property? Boom, that's 50K. So in that same week, I signed 10 clients in 2 weeks. Like I was on fire. So boom, 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 that's going up. And then this money comes in from there. And then I signed this huge client, like my biggest deal I've ever done, which is like a huge payment. So fast forward, it's December 29th, and all I need is one client to re-up for 6 months. And he does. And I hit that number by 205. Like I hit it over, right? Like 5,000 over. And I'm like, okay, all right, shit's different now. And then I said, wait, I gotta do it again. I gotta do that again. And I said, okay, what's the new goal? Well, let's double that goal. Let's double that goal. Oh, then I started getting really scared. When the first 15 days, bam, 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 I got equity in a company. That was a huge win. So I doubled it again. Like I did, I doubled it and I did it in 5 months. So I even did it shorter. And then I said, what are you going to do? I double it again. And so we're on track again to double that again, which is an asinine number. Equity positions in multiple companies and business deals and six-figure consulting fees stemmed from my lowest point, and I've had a lot of them, of saying it's entrepreneurship for me.
Yeah, right, right. And I think to your point, you said it a little bit earlier where your dad said, you've got no fear, or you're just out there making things happen.
Well, I need to share that part. So I have not had a relationship with my father for 20 years. We didn't speak for 8. And I was in a meeting. It was an interview with a friend. I was at his podcast at his house, and he said most men don't graduate their relationship with their parents. You're 40 years. You're almost 40. Get over it. Whatever the is. So that moment, I said to myself, I'm going to make peace with this man. And I said in my head, like, we're good. I hadn't talked to him in 6 months, Matt. At the moment I said it, he texted me.
Wow.
We called, we talked. Fast forward, we talk every day. We had lunch 5 weeks ago in California. Come to find out, my father for 35 years has done exactly what I do. He's a mindset coach and business consultant. And I had the pleasure of 3 weeks ago asking my father on my board of directors for all of our companies.
Oh, that's sweet, man. That's some full circle stuff. I'm stoked for you, dude. So much stuff that just is hitting me like right where it matters, especially for like this specific project of Get Better Every Day. Because I know as well as anybody else, and that not everybody just gets business success handed to them and set on their lap. Same goes for your health, same goes for your marriage, same goes for relationships, all of it, right? You got to work at it. And your story is like testament to the fact that like it doesn't always go right. It's not always a clear path, an easy path.
I did fire 3 people last week. It's
yeah.
not. It's this just because we're making money doesn't mean it's all roses.
Right. And so you've persevered through the health issues, the addiction. You've persevered through failed businesses. You've persevered through failed marriage, falling on your face, losing 30 grand. What would you say is what's the North Star, or what is the thing that continues to push you? Because a lot of people, they hit 1 or 2 roadblocks and it's over. And they're just resigned to what they would,
because ultimately their goals are for them. It's very simple. I have one goal: jobs. I've worked for amazing people my entire life that, if given the right support and put in the right seat, would flourish beyond what they could even believe. And so we want to create an entrepreneurship school for kids, and I want to create jobs. And so if it's not about me, then I can get up for it every day. Look, my whole life, I must have stopped and started 75 things. And so when I got sober, I made a promise to myself: whatever you start, you finish. You are somebody that starts. When you start, you finish. And so where that started for me was my health. And understand that, guys, you're reading the books, you're reading all the business books, none of that shit matters. There are no business problems. There's only personal problems wrapped up in business. And what you understand is that consistency is the only thing that matters. I made a promise to myself when I started the podcast: no matter what I do or how many people listen, I will make sure I post 3 episodes a week, every week. And you know what people say to me? They say, hey, great podcast, love this episode. But they say, man, you are the most consistent SOB I've ever met in my life. And so when you realize that these small little things that you do every day, if you're a mortgage broker, because that's what you do, I'm just using an example. And let's say you did 100,000 your first year, and you did 125 the next year, and you did 150 the next year. You're right where you need to be. I had a client today. We've been coaching for 7 months. He hasn't bought a rental property yet, but everything else that he listed on our first meeting, we've accomplished. And I said, are you telling me that your life is a failure because you don't have one rental property? Or I said, if you took real estate off your plate, like you didn't even know what the word meant, would your life be absolutely amazing? And he goes, 100%. It's a universe of one and your expectations on yourself, not giving yourself grace to grow. Guys, it took me 38 years. It took me 38 years. So what can I create in this other 60 years? And so my message to everybody is it's way simpler than you think. And more importantly, it's never as bad as it seems, and it's never as good as it seems. You know, they say new levels, new devils. Like
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you go.
Right. Yeah. Something that you said sparked one of my favorite quotes, which is you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So many people thinking about doing things, they've got goals, they've got aspirations, but they just don't start. Right. And you're not going to be great at most anything when you start. But if you don't start, you've got no opportunity to be great. So kudos to you for the podcast. Before we forget to mention it, Construct Your Life podcast, where can people find that?
Yeah. Construct Your Life podcast. You can look it up on austinlinney.com. All the sites. Austin Linney is my Instagram handle. Hit me up there, but everything's in my bio. So anything that you need is all there.
Right. 400 and something episodes.
Yeah,
now,
I think in 2.5 years between ones I've been on, my brain dump, this one, and the other one I'm recording right now, I think we've done 800 episodes in 2.5 years.
Wow.
So I've had some conversations. Yeah.
You had some conversations, which is something that, I've pulled this out of a lot of people who are on the same path, relentless pursuit of the best version of yourself. I'm on that path. You're on that path. My goal with this podcast is to get people, no matter where they are, the very first step of that path, or whether they've been walking that path for 5 years. What is your advice? Because you said it earlier, and then you reiterated it, if you knew it or not, with these conversations you're having, getting around the right people. What should people do that are listening to this and they're thinking to themselves, you know what? I am built for greatness. I am destined for something more. I'm just maybe walking with the wrong people. I'm walking in the wrong direction. What advice would you give them?
So my advice to everybody out there is very simple. There was a time and place, probably when you were a lot younger, that you laughed and you cried and you played and you were curious and you were full of all the belief in the world. And somebody along the way, a teacher, a spouse, a friend, a parent, a family member, told you that you weren't good enough. And I am giving you cover right now to tell them to fuck off. Because the number one issue that I see, everything that they talk crap on me about in high school, you're too outgoing, you talk too much, blah, 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 is everything they champion me for now. So the moment that you stop living in other people's injected vision of you is the moment that you truly start living yourself. So I'm asking you, I'm giving you the permission to go chase whatever it is that you want. The difference between people like Matt and I and you is no different than that. But here's the thing. We love ourselves so much and we're willing to put in the work that I would be successful if I was running a dance studio. And so whatever it is that you want to go do, I'm begging you, do it. Even if it's not for money, do it because it inspires you, because it'll open up other avenues in your life.
Right. And sometimes failures are a blessing. Sometimes failures are just.
Do you know what I ask my team every day? You know what I ask my team every week? What are you going to fail at this week? What are you going to fail at this week? And we actually have a thing where we're setting up, true story, because we have CEOs in all of our companies. We're going to allow our CEOs to switch roles if they want to. Because I heard this from Sam Zell. Because if you want something, because that creative spark over here in a different business sector might actually spark something in you. We're teaching principles, frameworks, and mindset. We're not teaching business. Right. And so that's applicable in any sector.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love hearing about what you're doing. I really appreciate your time. I don't want to keep you too long, but Construct Your Life podcast, you said, in your bio, Austin Linney. Where else can they find you online?
Yeah, austinlinney.com, YouTube, Instagram, iTunes, everywhere around.
Yeah. This is awesome, man. I have a feeling we're gonna circle back in a year, have another conversation, because I want to hear more about the
I
path.
just want to say, for anybody that's joining this podcast that doesn't know Matt is what the definition of a human, a proper, top-notch, loving, caring human being is. And it has been the greatest pleasure of mine to watch you skyrocket up in your career. And the scary thing is you haven't even got started. And I just, it's just amazing what you stand for. And I just want to say that so it's recorded.
I appreciate you. I love you, man. Thanks for that.
You got it. See ya.